Diwali! Yay! It's
Happy
nearly there. And
Diwali!
to you, and to you.
Thank you, thank you. Yes. So it's let's just get into it. What is your connection to Diwali?
So I am a Hindu, I should say. When people say to me, "Oh, are you Indian? Are you from India?" Because when you say you are French, you might assume somebody is from France, or you could be Indian but not be from India. And so I am not from India. My family is not from India. We have been out of India for generations, and that's got to do with colonialism, and that's a completely different topic, which we can talk about some other time. But so I was born in South America in a country called Suriname. It's when they went for independence, my father moved to the Netherlands and we followed several months later. So I grew up in the Netherlands. I was very young when we moved there, so I have no memories of Suriname. And growing up in Holland, it was in that time, it was very much about assimilation, like we still did all of our rituals at home, and everything that my parents grew up with, we still did most of that at home. But when we went outside of the house, we were very much part of the society, so we did not walk in saris or have the dot on your face, on your forehead, or anything like that, because we wanted to blend in, we wanted to be part of Dutch society. And so for most of the people that I know in Holland and the Netherlands, when we were growing up in the 70s and the 80s and 90s, this is how we'd want to be. We wanted to be seen as Westerners, and we would behave as Westerners outside of the house, but then you'd go in the house and you'd be Indian or Surinamese Indian, which was fine. Like, we never hated who we were, and we embraced everything that our parents threw at us, except one or two things. But we would always celebrate Christmas. We always celebrated Easter, but maybe not going to the church because we're not Catholics or Protestants. But at the same time, then we would celebrate Diwali and also Holi, because you could like, India is, and I keep saying this to people all the time, India is so big. You couldn't possibly have two families that do something exactly the same way, especially when you have dozens and dozens and dozens of deities to worship. So there are no two families in my family, on my mom's side and my dad's side, that do something exactly the same. So when it would be Diwali, the preparation starts very early. It would be in October or November that you'd have the actual Diwali date. We would always only celebrate the third day of Diwali. I know there is the 5 days of Diwali, but in my household with my parents and my siblings, we never did the first day, then the second day, and then the big third day, and then the fourth and the fifth. So it was only ever the third, and we would start maybe a good 2 weeks before that. Maybe even before that, my mother would cook certain dishes, getting the ingredients from the big city we might travel to. So a good few things would already be prepared food-wise, but then come 2 weeks before that, it would just be like scrub. Everything needed to be clean. I'd say maybe you're just preparing your indoor living for the dark months ahead.
Mm.
Maybe it can be seen as that. And maybe other people say, no, you are doing it because this particular deity, you're going to welcome him or her into your nice, clean house. And the better it looks, maybe they will actually come and stop off and grant you all your wishes and wants. Maybe it's some of that, so I don't know. My mother would make with flour and water, and it's kind of like the roti dough, but she would make little cups. And my mother used to make her own ghee, and then we use cotton wool, and she put the cotton wool in the ghee in the cup that was made from dough, and we would light the diyas, so the little oil lamps. So we would only light the lamps at sunset. So you'd come home from school, there was no artificial light on in the house. Mum had cooked, the house was nice and warm and everything. And then at sunset, we would light the lights, and we would all light the lights together. And so each room of the house would get a lamp. And that was really special. So you'd be standing around in the kitchen. My mum would have a lovely tray, and she'd put all the lamps on it, all the lights. And then she'd light them one by one. And, you know, we'd get one, like it wouldn't be the dough in our hands. So the dough would be in a bowl or on a little plate of some sort, you know, safety first, always. And then we would carry that into the room that you were assigned to put it. So my mum had a white cotton cloth, and now it was quite big, and she put that on the ground in my parents' bedroom. And so my mum would sit, and we'd sit around her in a circle, and then she would say her prayers, and, you know, we would always giggle because all the prayers, you know, there's Om Shanti Shanti, and it was my name, so, you know, we'd all be giggling, and then my sister would be like, you know, she's praying for you. And we do the prayers, and she'd bless us, and then we go in the kitchen, and then, you know, stuff our faces. So we get to eat all the special Diwali food. So there'll be all these little dishes that, you know, you don't eat at another time of the year for us, because they're very intensive to make. But maybe it's also because, you know, trying to keep it special. Like,
you know, as soon as Holi comes, it's one after the other, and not just Hindu festivals, even other religions. You know, there's Eid also in between, and sometimes what happens is Eid, Diwali, and Christmas come back to back. So that has happened quite a few times for me when I was growing up. So it's very difficult to segregate it all, you know, and you know, I have, you know, we live in apartment buildings in Bombay, most of us do anyway, and there's different people practicing different faiths, living in different ways, and these are people from different parts of India, you know, so different people of different faiths from different parts of India have their own different beautiful rituals and ways of celebrating all these festivals, and you get to be a part of it because we're in such intimate proximity with each other, and all festivals are communal, you know. So even that house, so Diwali, you don't have to cook in our house, you know. Sweets, we don't need to eat sweets, we don't have to buy sweets because the neighbors have made sweets and they come to our house. And then you get to rate which auntie made which sweet better, you know, because we call all the neighbors aunties and uncles. We don't take them by their names. They're not related to you, but they're related to you in different ways because they've seen you grow up. So we just call all our elders aunties and uncles. This auntie made this sweet peda better than that one. I think she bought that, you know. It's all that kind of carry aspect of it, the sharing of food. There is the shopping. The shopping is intense. Oh my God. In Bombay, it is intense because that's only my frame of reference, Bombay. And every day there's a new outfit. Every day the rangoli is changed. Every day the flowers are changed. Every day the diya is lit. Or of course now diya, yes, but you know, it's about blinking the house out with the best lights possible. And you know, and that could even include LED crazy lights, like a light performance outside each person's house. It's like, if you've got any kind of issues with like sensitive light, you know, it's not really good for that. Of course, with lights comes the aspect of bursting firecrackers, which causes all sorts of crazy, shitty pollution. And they're made in very questionable circumstances, but people still buy them every year. And you can't even breathe, and God forbid you have asthma. It's kind of crazy. So I'm trying to paint a balanced picture of what it is, what Diwali is like. And many times every year, people say, please have a noise-less Diwali, noise-free Diwali. Please, you know, don't post crime. So there's that commercial, capitalistic perspective and thing. The other thing during Diwali is because it's also the beginning of the new year in the Hindu calendar. Isn't it? I think, yes, it is. So many business people start their books. And so there's wonderful puja around that as well.
Yeah.
And that's quite special. And people buy a lot of gold during Diwali because that's again auspicious.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of Diwali parties, just like Christmas time, there's parties. And even during Eid, people would call you for eating lovely biryani that's made at home. And so sometimes if Diwali, Eid, and Christmas happen very close to each other, right? So so you've got biryani come from the other auntie's house, you've got sweets, pedas come from the other auntie's house, and my mother would have sent cake to everybody. So it's quite an amalgamation of cultures. That's my experience. That's what's been my experience of Diwali.